In the darkness of the night, only cries and heart-rending screams were heard in Egypt. That midnight, the Lord struck down all the firstborn sons in the land of Egypt, from the eldest son of Pharaoh, who sat on his throne, to the eldest son of the prisoner in the dungeon. There was not a single house where someone had not died. It was still night when Pharaoh sent for Moses and Aaron.
Get out. Leave. Leave my people alone, and take all the other Israelites with you. Go and worship the Lord as you have asked. Take your flocks and herds, as you said, and leave now. Go, but bless me as you leave.
All the Egyptians urged the people of Israel to leave the land as soon as possible, because they thought,
"We will all die."
The Israelites asked the Egyptians for clothes and objects of silver and gold, and the Egyptians gave the people of Israel everything they asked for. And so, that same night, the people of Israel fled from Egypt. There were about 600,000 men, besides women and children. But Pharaoh's heart hardened again.
What have we done in allowing all these Israelite slaves to leave?
They set out in pursuit with all the forces of Pharaoh's army, all their horses and chariots, their riders and troops, and they caught up with the Israelites as they camped by the Red Sea. There was no escape, but God was about to display His power and allow them to experience the most glorious events in their entire history. Sabbath School presents the series, The Exodus, Journey to the Promised Land. Lesson 6, Through the Red Sea. Did you know that during World War II, there was an event reminiscent of the biblical story of the Red Sea? A group of British soldiers were surrounded by the Nazi army in Dunkirk, France. They were trapped between their enemies and the sea. With no possibility of escape by land and not enough boats for evacuation, it seemed like the end. And then the unexpected happened. Thousands of civilian vessels, fishing boats, pleasure craft yachts crossed the English Channel in what was called the Miracle of Dunkirk, and they rescued more than 330,000 soldiers. Was it militarily impossible? Yes, it was. Was it humanly insurmountable? It was too. But it happened, because where humans see a wall, God can open a sea. And it is precisely there, in the dead ends of this life, that the story of the crossing of the Red Sea becomes relevant to us today. So this week's question is, in light of the story of the Red Sea, how should we act in the face of dead-end situations? First, consecrate before the trial. What do good students do before a final exam?
Study hard.
And athletes before an important competition?
Train hard.
Correct. Preparation is essential for facing life's great challenges. And in the spiritual realm, it's no different. That's why, before the demanding test of crossing the Red Sea, God asked for the consecration of the firstborn.
Consecrate to me every firstborn male. The first offspring of every womb among the Israelites belongs to me, whether human or animal.
What is God asking here? Every firstborn male should be set apart for the service of God. Later, when the tribe of Levi was consecrated for the same purpose, those children belonged to the priests, and the parents had to pay a ransom for them, that is, redeem them. What about the animals? The book of Numbers explains it. The clean ones were to be sacrificed as an offering to God, and the unclean ones were to be redeemed. What does all this mean? Easy. God was calling for consecration. God was claiming first place in their lives. It is as if God were saying, if you make me a priority in your lives, when the test comes, you will be my priority. Did you notice? Before seeing the sea be parted, before experiencing the miracle, the people were led to consecration. It is true that we live in different times, but the principle is the same. What is the difference between an exam, a competition, and a spiritual trial? Exams and competitions have a set date and time. Spiritual trials come when we least expect them. That is why God wants us to understand that victory does not begin when the sea parts, but when the heart surrenders to Him. Because miracles are the result of faith consecrated before the trial. Second, move forward where God leads you. Have you ever followed an arrow sign that didn't take you where you expected?
Yes, I have.
Once I followed one and ended up in a dead-end street.
It took me to a food area and I was looking for a restroom.
Well, not all arrow signs are reliable, but there is one that never fails, the one that points to God. In the midst of confinement, with the Egyptian army behind them and the Red Sea ahead, the most logical thing for the Israelites to do was to flee to one side, hide, or even prepare to fight. But God showed them another way, a completely illogical one, toward the sea. Moses prayed, but God did not give him a plan. He gave him an unexpected command.
Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on.
Can you imagine? God is not asking Moses to command a group of warriors in faith to advance through the sea. God is asking him to command a terrified group of people to walk through the sea. A people who, upon seeing Pharaoh and his armies, said to Moses, "Why did you bring us here to die in the desert? Why did you force us to leave Egypt? Didn't we tell you this would happen when we were still in Egypt? We said to you, 'Leave us alone. Let us continue to be slaves to the Egyptians.' It is better to be a slave in Egypt than a corpse in the desert." But God's arrow signs must be followed, even if they seem absurd, because miracles are not activated by human logic, but by divine faith. That is why Moses said to the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand still. Watch how the Lord will rescue you today. The Lord himself will fight for you." Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord opened a path through the waters by means of a strong east wind. The wind blew all night and turned the seabed into dry land. Then the people of Israel crossed through the sea on dry ground with walls of water on either side. Did you notice? When you obey God's arrow sign, even if it seems absurd, you end up seeing the impossible. Because if He pointed out a route, He will open the way even when there is none. And third, gratitude to never forget. Have you ever relied on music to help you remember something?
Yes, I memorized the English alphabet by using a song.
And I memorized the multiplication tables.
Exactly. Today, music is recorded in recording studios, but before that, music was always recorded in people's memories. That's why it's good for remembering things like alphabets and tables. And of course, it's also good for recording God's miracles in your mind. When they reached the other side of the sea, Moses, by God's command, stretched out his hand over the sea, and the waters returned to their normal state powerfully. The Egyptians tried to escape, but the waters covered all the chariots and their riders. Not even one of the Egyptians who entered the sea to pursue the Israelites survived, not even the Pharaoh. Then the Israelites, instead of rushing to celebrate and continuing on their way as if nothing had happened, raised the song, an eternal worship to the God who opened the sea and delivered them. Did you notice? Moses' song in Exodus 15 is a gratitude to never forget. It presents God as a mighty warrior who defeated those who opposed his people. No one is like him, magnificent in holiness, terrible in wonders, author of marvels. And do you know what is most amazing? That in Revelation 15, the redeemed ones sing the song of Moses and the Lamb. Can you imagine how this praise will sound in heaven? Just as in Dunkirk, where more than 330,000 soldiers were saved when all seemed lost, God still opens paths where there are none. But remember, we must consecrate ourselves before the trial. We must move forward where God directs, even if it seems absurd. And after walking through, we must give thanks so that we never forget, because our God continues to do the impossible. And if today you are between the army of fear and the sea of uncertainty, do not be afraid. You are not trapped. You are about to see a miracle. The same God who opened the sea continues to fight for you. Believe, move forward, sing, and live under this promise. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, I will be with you. Rivers, they will not sweep over you. Has this study blessed you? You can also be part of this mission to teach the Bible in a creative and transformative way. Scan the QR code on the screen and support us so that more people can learn how to study the Exodus, Journey to the Promised Land. Remember, together we can grow more.